Hi, class. We're continuing in part 6 from the 20th to the 21st century, years 1900 to 2020. The Jazz Age, 1920s. The 1920s brought about significant changes within the U.S. that was the start of what we know as the U.S. today. Between 1923 and 1927, businesses took off in great records, particularly those of sales. The increased sale of automobiles, rayon, and cosmetics helped influence the fashion industry as well as the establishment of chain stores. Women also gained more freedom in the 1920s. A large number of women were now enrolling in college and entering into the workforce. The ratification of the 19th century amendment also gave women the right to vote, giving them more power to make changes in their communities. Historical background. The social life of women changed in the 1920s. The expectation of perfection from women was now gone. Women no longer refrained from smoking, drinking, or seeing men unchaperoned. Now came the flapper. A flapper was a woman who was free from all past restraints. She wore her hair short and dressed much differently from her predecessors. She smoked, she drank, and she kissed men in public. Trousers were no longer restricted to men. Now women were also wearing them. Rouge and lipstick became a common element of dress. Influences on fashion. The movies. Film stars became fashion trendsetters as viewers imitated their style. Joan Crawford influenced the style of women, personifying the flapper via film. Irene Castle Corticelli fashions. Castle was the first film star to have a fashion line that was named after her. Josephine Baker was the first African American woman to star in a major film. She was the symbol of the Jazz Age. Adrienne designed garments for films and became known for high fashion and glamour. Sports. Economic growth after the war allowed for more leisure time and money to watch and participate in recreational activities. Cycling, skating, golf, and tennis became more accessible. Manufacturers produced garments suitable for recreational activities. Golfers wore loose fitted pants ending below the knee and patterned socks, while women tennis players wore knee length skirts and sleeveless white tops. Society celebrities. The reference to the 1920s as the Jazz Age relates to music that was prominent during the period. Jazz artists such as Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and Mamie Smith brought music and arts of the Harlem Renaissance to the entire country. Fashion was also influenced by European royalty and the Cathay Society. The British Prince of Wales, later referred to as the Duke of Windsor, was influential in setting styles by using patterns, colors, and textiles in new ways. He also brought about popularity of certain styles for specific sports. The automobile. Cars were considered a practical mode of transportation rather than a toy for sport. With the increase of women drivers, clothing was made to accommodate them. Skirts were less cumbersome and they were shorter. Wristwatches were more easily accessible while driving. Hence, their popularity was greater than that of the pocket watch. Advances in technology. Rayon and acetate aided in the acceleration of women's fashion by decreasing the cost of garments. In the 1880s, artificial silk was manufactured by Count Hilary de Chardonnet. In 1924, the National Retail Dry Goods Association renamed it rayon. After World War I, acetate, which was originally called rayon until the 1950s, was manufactured. Whitcomb L. Hudson invented the zipper in 1891. He initially called it a clasp hooker. His design called for revisions to make it more sturdy. Improvements to the design were made by Gideon Sundback, who manufactured what he called hookless fasteners. B.F. Goodrich bought these hookless fasteners to serve as closures on rubber boots. Goodrich was the first to use the term zipper, which he registered as a trademark in 1925. French couture. The French couture maintained its role as the main style source for women's clothing. Gabrielle Coco Chanel was known for designing comfortable and practical clothing. She had success creating casual knit jackets and pullover sweaters, as well as the little black dress, which is known to be a timeless fashion basic. She was also credited with popularizing the suntan look and costume jewelry. Madeleine Vanette designed plain, unadorned, well-cut designs. She also originated the bias cut, which is a technique by which cloth is cut utilizing the diagonal direction of the cloth. This provides for more stretch and better draping. In America, the amount of women's apparel companies in New York City grew 350% between 1900 and 1917. By 1920, American apparel manufacturers were a major producer of women's fashion. Art Deco obtained its name from the Exposition Internationale des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes. This was an exposition held in Paris in 1925. Art Deco influences can be seen in 1920s fashion. Geometric lines, fabric prints, embroideries, beading, and jewelry. Costume components for women, 1920 to 1930. Undergarments were available in a wide variety of styles. Panties replaced drawers and knickers. They were short and buttoned or elasticized at the waist and often very decorative. The combination involved into cami knickers, step-ins, or teddies, which were camisoles and panties together. Slips were straight-cut chemises or petticoats. The handkerchief skirt was a style that was created by placing pleats and gathers off-center, adding scallops to hems, gartered inserts, and paneled effects. Matching dresses and coats, or matching skirts, overblouses, and coats were called ensembles. Robe de style, which was created by Jean Lanvin, had a dropped waistline and a full skirt. This was a common wedding dress style. It was a popular style for all ages due to its looser fit. It was made of silk taffeta. Outerwear. Clutch coats were held shut as they had no closure, hence the name clutch coat. Raccoon coats were worn by both young women and men. Fur and fur-trimmed capes and wraps were popular amongst the affluent. Footwear included flesh-toned stockings and pumps with T-shaped straps, as well as Oxfords. Sleepwear consisted of a nightgown or pajamas. Hair and headdress. Women wore bobbed hairstyles, which was a short cut. Sometimes this hairstyle consisted of a Marceau wave, which was deep waves that were placed all over the head. The shingle was another hairstyle that was exceptionally short with a tapered back. The Eton crop was a very close crop style, much like that of men's hair. The cloche was a small, close fitted hat, and the headache band was also worn, which today is known as the headband. Other costume components for women: sportswear. A new category of clothing, sportswear, was introduced in the 1930s. Women began to wear slacks, which were similar to trousers, in the 1920s. White clothing was traditional for tennis. Accessories included handbags, which were either large leather or dainty beaded evening bags. Jewelry was long, dangling earrings, long strands of pearls or beads, and cigarette cases. Cosmetics and grooming included makeup, which was now essential to achieving a fashionable look. Rouge and lipstick were used. The lipstick case was invented in 1915. Cosmetic surgery and body contouring was also popular. Costume components for men. Oxford bags were wide leg trousers that Oxford college students in England wore. These trousers allowed for the student to quickly change from trousers to knickers. This style eventually migrated over to America. The Barrymore collar, named after actor John Barrymore, had long points. Turtleneck jerseys substituted for shirts and ties in 1924. The cummerbund was used as a substitute to waistcoats. The cummerbund was a wide, pleated fabric waistband. Outdoor men wore polo coats, which were made of a tan camel's hair. They were double breasted with a 6-button closure and a half belt at the back. Sports jackets and knickers were combined to create plus fours. For active sports, Lacoste knit tennis shirts, which had a longer tail in the back to prevent it from pulling out of the waistband when playing tennis, were worn. This shirt was similar to a polo shirt and was introduced in 1929 by Rene Lacoste. Sleepwear included pajamas. Hair and headdress. The hair was cut short and controlled with hairdressing and pomades. Pencil-thin mustaches were worn by some men. Fedoras, derbies, Homburgs, straw boaters, and Panama hats, as well as sports caps, were also worn. Footwear, such as Oxfords, were worn. Accessories included gloves, handkerchiefs, scarves, umbrellas, and canes. Jewelry was functional and included watches, tie pins, shirt studs, cufflinks, and rings. Costume components for children. Girls, loose smock dresses were worn by toddlers. Young girls wore dresses similar to women's styles. The color pink was also, quote unquote, assigned to girls. Girls' clothing was often store bought. Boys. Small boys wore rompers or short pants. The color blue was associated with boys. Young boys wore knickers and older boys wore trousers. Costume components for children and teens. So both girls and boys' sleepwear consisted of footed pajamas or sleepers for young children. Older boys wore pajamas and older girls wore pajamas and nightgowns. Teenagers had a heavy marketing towards them. This could be seen in stores, in their size offerings, in the styles and advertising terminology that was used. Stores would have designated divisions or departments titled Junior Miss, High School Shop, and or sub-dubs. Special bras were also marketed towards girls, as girls of adolescence had the hard decision of at what point they should begin wearing a bra. Proms required formal floor length dresses.